Hello, and welcome to another edition of MBL Timeout Podcast with your host, Serp. It is March 1st, 2020. Kind of getting into spring a little bit here in Wisconsin. I think it's about 50 degrees out in Wisconsin, central Wisconsin right now, so pretty nice. I mean, I got shorts on, a shirt, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's I'm ready for it, but it's the fool's spring. I mean, it's really not going to happen. It's going to snow, and it's going to be about negative 400, probably within by next weekend or so, and then maybe we'll get into the spring weather around mid-March. So last time I talked at you guys, it was February 16th, and we were in week 11-ish, I think kind of sliding into week 12 of the regular season of season 44, Madden Bomber League. It is now March 1st, and we are in the divisional round of the playoffs. So I'd like to go, kind of backtrack a little bit, talk about the playoffs predictions that I had, whether those came true, whether somebody else made it. I think for the most part, that'll be a pretty quick segment because I think most of them all went in that I had figured, which they usually do. And then we'll go over the playoffs so far. I know we're already past the Wildcard round, so we'll kind of jump on those games a little bit, see what happened, who won, who lost, and why. I think we have one game played in the divisional round, would have been the Vikings and the Hawks, and I think the Panthers, and I can't remember right off the top of my head who they're playing, but they're actually playing at this moment, so I'll probably jump in and see if that game's ended, or if we can get some stats out of it, even some live stats. And then we're going to go over who's going to take it all, who do I expect is going to win the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle, the Super Bowl. And then go over some of the players that have really shown themselves in the playoffs, and kind of just a little bit of game stats analysis of some of the games that have already been played. And again, we'll try to keep this around, 25, 30 minutes or less seems to be the best going rate as far as time. And then just another plug here, just so everybody can follow along if you'd like. I'm using most of my stats, if not all, come from daddyleagues.com/MBL, so you can follow along with me. If you're on Twitter, at MBL_BR, that's the Bleacher Report page for MBL. I use a lot of their stuff. And if you really want in-depth knowledge of what's going on around in the MBL, whether you be an MBL member or if you're just interested, to kind of you start to feel a little bit of a connection for some of these teams and or owners, that's a really good place to go for it because there's something always, every day that they're spitting out something, trades, re-signings, retirements, top players, and on and on and on. There's a ton of stuff there. And then also if you want to check out Madden Bomber League, that would be 365.maddenleague or maddenbomberleague.com. So again, that's 365.maddenbomberleague.com. All right, so let's get into who actually made it to the playoffs. Who's there? It looks like so the Ravens, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. Patriots, we knew that was going to happen. Chiefs, Texans, Bengals, and the Jets, with the Bengals and the Jets getting the wild card for the AFC. So I think we knew that. Wait, didn't I count the Jets out? I thought I counted the Jets out. Yeah, I did. So the Jets are actually in there in place of, I think, the Chargers, I think is who I had going in one of the, at least a wild card spot in the AFC. So the Jets are in there. Okay, so I knew Ravens, Bengals. I didn't know which one was going to take the division. Ravens took the division. Bengals got the wild card. Patriots, Chiefs, Texans, of course. The Jets were kind of a little bit of a surprise there, so they must have kicked it up at the end, so good on them. So Bananas must have made it to a few of his games. That's good. NFC, Carolina Panthers, Minnesota Vikings, Seattle Seahawks, Redskins, Falcons, and Buccaneers. And that's right where we went with all of that, and we knew that was coming too. And with the Falcons and the Buccaneers getting the wild card in there. So there is the playoff makers of the NBL, both AFC and NFC. So let's go over some of the games. The wild card round has already been played. Again, we're in the first game played in the divisional round, and the second one being played is actually happening now. So first game was the Bengals and the Texans. It looked like interceptions was something going on that game. So for the Bengals, we got Will Greer, 310 yards, 5 interceptions. Not a good showing. Not a good showing at all. 46 yards from Mixon. They had Dale had a reception for 54 yards and a touchdown, and that was about it. I mean, that was what we got as far as the headlines for the stat line for the Wildcard game with the Bengals and the Texans. Now, the Texans, even Watson, 3 interceptions. I guess both defenses were there. I mean, Hopkins definitely blew everybody out of the water. 6 receptions, 176 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, he's always going. It's always ridiculous with that guy. They had 10 rushes, so they mixed it up a little bit. I mean, 23 pass attempts, 10 rushes. That's kind of standard Texans plays. But, I mean, Texans pulled it out 38-24, so not very close game. I mean, 38-24 sounds close, but it's not. It's not. It's definitely the Texans were in control of that game the entire time. So good on the Texans. They make it to the divisional round. Next game we had for the wild card round was Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seahawks destroyed them. Andrew Luck, 4 interceptions, no touchdowns, and about a 50% pass completion percentage. So, trailer trash. Campbell had 5 receptions, 81 yards for the Bucs. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the story of their game. They got 9 points. So they pretty much, got the ball, threw it back to the Seahawks, and then the Seahawks scored. And that seems to be what that game was. I mean, Russell Wilson, 15 for 17, 3 touchdowns, 256 yards. Griffin, 15 rushes, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. So they were absolutely, really mixing it up. I mean, they got 17 pass attempts, 15 rush attempts, and I would imagine the defense did a lot of scoring. Seahawks got 34. So 34-9, Seahawks win. Bobby Wagner, forced fumble and a sack. Lockett, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. Griffin, 72 yards and a touchdown on the ground. 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions for Wilson. So yeah, it was total destruction for the Buccaneers. So figured out in the offseason, but good on them for making it. But yeah, they were a one and done. And we got New York Jets and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Jets, I didn't think were going to make it. I thought they were just too far behind, and I kind of counted them out. So, and I know Bananas put something about that in the group me chat. So maybe I'm gonna take a little credit. Maybe it made you play harder. I don't know, or maybe I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna take credit for something because I'm not in the playoffs. So whatever. This is the one I'm taking. This is my take. But they ended up losing 29-28. So a great game, probably, if it was streamed or to watch. I'm not sure. I was on vacation this weekend and just came back today. But it looked like Darnold had 12 for 16 for the Jets, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Bentley, 16 rushes, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. So Bentley threw it on his back. Mecole Hardman, 72 yards and a touchdown, an interception by the secondary. So not a terrible game. I mean, a great game on the ground, and again, evenly distributed. I mean, 16 passes, 16 rushes, and Bentley really did what he's got to do. So good for him. But they just got beat out by 1 point. I'd like to know what that is. If it was a missed extra point. I mean, 29-28. Somebody went for the 2 or what? I don't know. I guess I'm speculating, but Mahomes, 20 for 28, 285, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. So he's. I mean, they're obviously using. They got no rushing game. I mean, I think Mahomes is their rusher, 4 for 24 yards and a touchdown. Kelsey, 6 receptions, 103 yards and a touchdown. Benedict, 4 sacks. All right, so that's where the victory came into play. Was the Chiefs' defense? I mean, maybe kind of just edged it out a little bit. I mean, just strictly speaking, because the stats between the rushers and Kelsey, like if you took Bentley and Kelsey out of the mix, it's pretty much the same team right there. So good on the Chiefs. I mean, I expected them to make it to the Super Bowl, so I didn't really have any doubts that they would have won this one. But good on the Jets for making it. I mean, I didn't think they were. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. So that we're going over, and then we have the Falcons and the Redskins. The Falcons, I thought, were going to go deep. Pause. But I think they are. I mean, they got the quarterback that I should have took, because my rookie quarterback is Trizash. I mean, he's throwing. I don't even want to get into it. It's ridiculous, the throw animations. But anyway, so McCoy, 18 for 24, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. All right, and Gray got 7 of those receptions for 141 yards and a touchdown. So it was an air raid. I mean, they were airing it out. They got 7 rushes by Ito Smith, 49 yards, touchdown. So they mixed him in there. I mean, definitely, 24 pass attempts, 7 rushes. It was an air game. And the same thing on Redskins side. It looks like they were just trying to keep up with them. It was like back and forth from what the stats look like. Because Haskins, let's go for Redskins. Haskins Jr., 24 attempts, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that 1 interception that he threw, as opposed to McCoy throwing no interceptions, was probably the camel-breaking piece of straw. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they got Love, 9 rushes, 53 yards, 1 touchdown. So same exact, I mean, him and Ito are interchangeable in this game. Tyler Boyd, 2 receptions, 43 yards, 2 touchdowns. So not as many yards as Gray, but more scoring. I think it's the interception that Haskins threw. I think if they could have had that back, I mean, that would have been Redskins would have made it to the divisional round as opposed to the Falcons. But the Falcons beat them out 27-26. So there's another 1-point game in the playoffs. Interesting, fun. I like it like that. So that is actually all. That is the 4th game. So we had the what did we have for the wild card round? We had my computer only works so fast. Charter Spectrum Internet. I don't know. You know, you get a business high speed download, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's pretty much just a joke altogether. So Bengals and Texans. Texans blasted them up. Buccaneers and Seahawks. That they got totally tore up. The Bucs did. Jets and Chiefs. Chiefs took them out. Redskins, Falcons. Falcons won. So first game that was played in a divisional round, where we're at now, was the Seahawks and the Vikings. And that was a close game, except for the fact that Russell Wilson, we'll start with the stat line for the Seahawks, threw 4 interceptions. So as you can assume, I mean, the Seahawks got beat. Not bad. I mean, it was 20-17, and if you could have took back those interceptions or so whatever happened there, I know Hunter for the Vikings got 4 sacks, so there was pressure flying at the Seahawks every play, every passing down, and it just seemed to be a little bit too much. But I think that's all the Vikings had. I mean, let's go over the stat line. So Russell Wilson, 8 for 21, 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 receptions. He played a doo-doo, boo-boo, poo-poo game. Griffin, 10 rushes, 99 yards, and a touchdown. So good. Griffin had some good stuff. I mean, that's 10 yards average. So, I mean, good on Griffin. Woods, 2 receptions, 48 yards, a touchdown. And Wagner had an interception and a forced fumble. So, if you look at the Vikings, 10 for 17, 153 yards, a touchdown, and interception. So that's not much. I mean, 153 yards out of 17 attempts. So they're throwing drags, they're throwing slants. Maybe there's 1 or 2 big plays in there. I mean, Cook has 16 rushes for 103 yards and a touchdown. So they were more of a rushing. They were conservative. They got 20 points, but they still ended up winning with it because their defense showed up. So good on the Vikings. Vikings take out the Seahawks 20-17, and I think it's on the back of the defense. It just was too much for the Seahawks. And then just kind of the dink and dunk and the rush game for the Vikings took them over the top. So who do we have left in a divisional round right now? Like I said, the Panthers and the Falcons were actually playing. Let me pause. I'm going to pause this for a second. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to see if that game's done yet. And I'm back, and I don't know if I'm bad luck or what, but it is now the Atlanta Falcons versus the Carolina Panthers in the 4th quarter, 3 minutes and 24 seconds left. And I tune in, and it looks like the Falcons just threw it just in time. I tuned in just in time to see the Falcons throw a post route interception to the Panthers safety. So that sucked. So Panthers got the ball, 3 minutes, 24 seconds left, and they're up by 1. Man, it's going to be a good game. So I guess we don't really have too much time to wait for that one, but I mean, that'll be one of the games that we'll talk about next week when we go over divisional round, conference round, and Super Bowl. I mean, we'll be in the off season by next week when I talk to you, so it'll be mainly trades and maybe some draft standouts, and we'll see where we are in the off season by next week. We've been moving along pretty fast already. I mean, we're already in the divisional round of season 44, getting ready to go into season 45 sometime soon. So that looks like about everything I wanted to go through. I kind of rambled through it and did it pretty fast, but we went over to playoff predictions. I think most of them made it. I think the Jets were the only kind of team that I wasn't really too sure that they were going to make it in there. We got you up to speed on the playoffs so far, who's in them, who's out, and why. some of the players and a brief overview of some of the stats from the games, and I think that'll do it. Since the regular season's over, we don't have a whole lot of games that are going on. It's all playoff stuff right now. So this has been Serp. Thanks for tuning in to MBL Timeout Podcast, and we'll talk at you later.